Hello again everyone, and welcome back to our channel of Nifty 50 Running. Firstly, as always, I just want to thank you for your support, your subscriptions and your questions and comments, which have all been brilliant, and as again, we really appreciate it. Apologies for not getting something online a bit sooner, but it's work and life gets in the way and we have been rather busy. But today, I'm just going to do a little one on aerobic base training, or running at low heart rate, which is something we all have to do at some point. Especially if you're a new runner, I think it's a pretty vital, integral part of running and learning, and it's something that I did when I first started. Building that base, really, really important, which was a lot of walking to start with at brisk pace, and then gradually building up the mileage, etc., etc. So yeah, if you're a new runner, I couldn't recommend more to do your base training, build that mileage up, get your body used to running. It can be a bit of a shock to the system. If you're young and fit, then you might get away with it a bit better. But if you're an older runner like myself, it's not as easy, and your body does tend to complain quite a bit. Also as well, if you are an experienced runner, you can use it as a training block to sort of make an effort for a while. You can sort of have a bit of a rest, build it back up again, have a break. And it's something that I do sort of in the winter, December, January, February. Ease off the hard work, the intervals, etc. And really sort of build a base then. And I've found that it does work. A lot of people sort of unsure as how can running slow make you faster, but it does. The effect it has on your muscles, etc., and the increase of your volume and your heart, allowing more oxygen to pump around and getting that into your blood. Obviously that goes to your muscles, the capillaries, etc. You can increase the density on them, so in turn, that affects the oxygen supply. And obviously when you're running harder and faster, you're putting stress on it, so you can break the capillaries down, and it can have a negative effect. So base training is really, really important. Now I'm just trying to think of the example that I did when I first started. It was all about, I was keen, etc. Maybe ran a bit too hard and got injuries. And it wasn't until I'd been running a little while then my brother, as usual, suggested that I should try this low heart training. And my first sort of opinion was, how can you run at low speed and get faster? But it proved to be really essential, and I must admit I was shocked at the results. I wouldn't say I like flying, but it did make a difference. I'm going on an example. I was sort of running, I don't know, at race pace, might have been about 650 mile at a comfortable pace, felt good. And when we worked out, working at a percentage of sort of 70% of that, I broke it down to then running at like just over 8-minute miles, etc., steady, constantly, building the mileage up each week. And this is a training block for just a few months. Now, I'll say it's quite frustrating at first, running slow, thinking, well, how can this, how can it work? But it's not just that. The time like that allowed me to sort of work on other things about my form as well. How I sort of carried my arms when I was running. I was running a bit, trying to run taller, thinking about how my feet landed, etc. And it gave me time to sort of think about all them other kind of things, when you're swinging your arms, sort of driving your arms backwards and forwards, holding my arms a bit up, making sure my wrists were above my elbows, that kind of thing, and it were all sort of a real benefit. Everything that I did during this period really, really helped. Now, so back to my heart rate. I worked out a rough guess. My math sort of rate should be about 100, 130. Some people say if you've been improving for years, then you can sort of add sort of 4 beats a minute to it, or something like that. But I settled on 130, and I was running, like, you're going uphill, you feel like you're hardly moving, little steps, etc. But constantly looking, watch, sticking to it, and it did start working. I didn't notice at first, but it wasn't until I had a race and there'd been a bit of a gap, a couple of months, and so that's when I did this block. I think I've been to York early August. Did the 10k. I think it's about 43 minutes, and so I worked hard on this block, 8 weeks or so, and just stuck at it. You know, it was frustrating at times when you wanted to run, you're going, you know, really slow, almost at walking pace. But I stuck at it, and when it came to, I can't remember which race it was, it might have been Bury, I'm not sure. I took something like 3 minutes off my PB, and I was like, oh, can't believe it. And even though, I made the effort, it didn't feel too hard. You know, looking at my watch when I finished, and you know, my chip time and everything. Yeah, it was a bit of a shock, to be honest. So yeah, I would really highly recommend it. Also, as well, in the training phase, I was going on my bike, and that was on like a low cadence, you know, a medium sort of tension, but low cadence again, so I wasn't going like mad. I wasn't raising my heart too much, keeping my eye on that as well, and that sort of worked as well. You know, because if you can imagine, when you're increasing your heart stroke as it is with all this aerobic base training, you're getting more blood pumping around your system, carrying all that important oxygen to your muscles, you know, and the little capillaries and the mitochondria, if I can pronounce it correctly, that's in your muscles, and you can sort of relate to them as like little batteries that keep you going and stuff. So this base training is building all that up, giving you that more strength and stamina. Yeah, and like I say, if you've been running quite a while, you can use these little blocks to have a little rest, reduce that stress on your body, and then build it up. And let's say what I found, for example, is doing 8-minute miles, as I said earlier, and then stuck to this rigidly. And then when I came to do my next race, instead of like 6:50 being comfortable, 6:40 was pretty comfortable. So then when I come to do my next base, because my heart rate has dropped and my resting heart rate has dropped, and then my new setting for me 1:30 was about 7:50. See, so as you can see, there's the block has dropped it there. So then you go to this next block and you do all the 7-8 weeks, whatever it is you want to do, and when you come to the end block, you'll find again that it's dropped a little bit. So each time you do a block, in theory, you're going to drop your heart rate is going to be the same, but your speed's going to pick up, and you're not making that extra effort. So, I mean, that's what's worked for me so far, and obviously through the situation that's been in the world for the last year, I've done a lot of low heart rate training. I've sort of probably a bit slower than I should be, but there was, you know, I had a couple of injuries, and it's been able to keep me going and sort of keep me focused a bit. And like I said previously, you can think of other things on your running back, your form and stuff. It's an ideal time to concentrate and try and think, to change things that aren't quite working. You know, trying to run more efficiently. I mean, running form is really important. I mean, we're all born in a certain way and what our own natural thing, but you can change it. You know, you don't have to make big differences, but you can change the way you hold yourself and how you focus and stuff. You know, and the running form is really important if you want to be efficient. You know, running economy, you know, trying to walk as well at a brisk pace, that it all helps. That can be added to your base as well. You know, and when I was doing these long blocks, I found over the weeks, gradually, running that same heart rate, it became easier and easier. You know, and after like the first few weeks, you probably won't notice anything in the first couple of weeks, but after a few weeks, you'll notice a difference. And what I tended to do then, sort of every couple of weeks, I'd have one particular route, and obviously it depends on the weather, you know, not highly windy or anything. And I do that same route, like a little test, and I found that I'd improved. I mean, once the tracks are open, I used to do math tests sort of every 5-6 weeks. Say I set myself a target of, I don't know, 5 miles, set my heart rate at 1:30 and run that 5 miles, and then just look at my mileage, and then repeat again in another 5 weeks time, do the same 5 miles, run at the 1:30, and again see what the mileage. And at the time when we were allowed access to the track, I could see the improvements. It's just a lack of training opportunities so much at the moment that's I've gone back down to a level. But now at the moment I did my training block in December, January, a bit of February, and I was injured. So now I'm having some speed work, but what I'll do this speed work for 6 weeks, 2 months, whatever, not constant. And then what I'll do, I'll have a break and I'll do another aerobic block and then keep building it. And they say the plan is every time I do a block, that heart rate is produced a quicker pace. And then by time sort of, I don't know, July time, when there's sort of more organised races are coming along, then hopefully all that will be right in place. And then the main thing is to be able to run at a good speed but be comfortable. I don't want to have to be just killing myself on every single race. It's not worth going to a race and after a couple of miles I think, well, this pace, and I can't sustain it and sort of dropping off a level. So I mean that's my own personal view on how it's worked for me. I mean, there might be a lot of science behind it that I don't know so much about, but I'd say if you run about 70% of your maximum heart rate, and try and stick at that, there's little formulas you can work out. I mean, on the maths thing, I think it's something like 180 minus your age as a rough sort of figure. So if you have a look, see what you come up with and try that. I mean, me and Jonathan are welcome to take any questions, obviously, especially Jonathan, because he knows so much and I've learned so much from him. But please feel free to ask anything and we'll try and get back to you and give you some good answers. So in the meantime, thank you very much for watching once again. And remember, at Nifty 50 Running, you're never too old. Thank you once again, and bye for now.